A lot of it can be averted simply by using a more responsible dose. A lot of people are using way fucking more than they need. What's up, guys? Derek, moreplates.com. Today we're going to be talking about Jon Skywalker's recent cycle post. So he basically outlined exactly what he's taking, which commendable for that. Most people will not even say they're on gear, let alone post their full protocol for everyone to judge. And then, you know, look at your physique and say, oh, you don't look good enough for the amount of gear you take and shit like that, which is what people always fucking do. So good, like, kudos to him for doing that and staying, keeping it real on that front. His stack basically posted July 30th, decided against trend. That shit's too toxic, to be honest. Also 5 times more androgenic than test. So that is a common myth. It is not 5 times more androgenic than test, despite on the anabolic to androgenic ratings chart that you always see permeated throughout the community, it's showing a 500 to 500 anabolic to androgenic rating, when in reality it's more tissue selective than testosterone. There's a reason it was prescribed to women decades ago. It's not because it was more androgenic than testosterone, I assure you that. So it's not 5 times more androgenic than test. First of all, that's a huge myth, which I have dispelled in my previous videos, and I compel you to go check out some of my old why Trenbolone works better than other steroids in a calorie deficit video, or my Trenbolone dosage video if you actually want to see the clinical application to it, when it was dosed at in a therapeutic context. But just for the record, it's more tissue selective, anabolic to androgenic wise than testosterone. So that is incorrect. It says which can really fuck your receptors up if you abuse. So its tissue selectivity has nothing to do with its effect on the receptor. It's progestogenic in nature, so it does inherently have its own satellite interaction with other receptors that make it a bit more complicated of a hormone to leverage effectively and predictably. So, you know, typically with pure AR agonists, you know, things that you don't have to worry as much about, you know, like satellite interaction with like the progesterone receptor, or, you know, inherent inhibition of interaction with the estrogen receptor or stuff like that. It's a lot more predictable side effect profile wise. With Trenbolone, on the other hand, though, it's very potent at its progestogenic activity. It's anti catabolic activity with glucocorticoid receptor interaction. It's a potent agonist of AR2. So there's a lot of things that need to be considered with Tren, and the way it fucks up your receptors is not really that it fucks them up. It's just not expecting the outcomes that are going to occur by not understanding the drug, essentially. So, you know, a lot of it can be averted simply by using a more responsible dose. A lot of people are using way fucking more than they need. But on top of that, understanding that if you use something that's going to interact with all these other mechanisms in the body, you know, expecting a pure like side effect free outcome is kind of, you know, short-sighted, because you should expect this progestogenic activity and all these other satellite interactions that are going to occur with the compound if you're going to be using it. So it doesn't necessarily fuck your receptors. I don't really know what he means by that. But it's not more androgenic. Maybe you could argue it's more unhealthy for sure. There's, you know, the neurotoxicity data I've outlined with the rodent models and whatnot, which if you haven't seen that, check out my video, Does Trenbolone Cause Alzheimer's? I recommend you read, I recommend you watch that one. But anyways, and then he says, maybe one day to reach my final form, but for now the stacks finna be test prop 350 milligrams per week, test sip 200 milligrams per week. So if you don't know, test prop means testosterone propionate, which is a short-acting ester. Testosterone cypionate, a pretty traditional longer-acting ester. Masteron, undisclosed ester, 490 milligrams per week. MK677, 25 milligrams per day, and Arimidex 1 milligram every other day. As for training, I've been focusing a lot more on my proportions and symmetry. Legit feels like my frame is slowly changing thanks to meditation and stretching for hours every day for over a year now. Blah, 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 blah. So, you know, he always looks good. This guy is always in shape. I don't think he really takes the time to grow, or he's just doesn't eat enough. I don't know, because the guy's always fucking lean. He's always in shape. He always looks good. I don't really know if he dedicates the time to grow. Maybe that's why he has the MK677 in there, which is a potent ghrelin receptor agonist, which is basically something that is going to trick you into being hungry when you would otherwise not be hungry. And it does increase your GH and IGF-1 levels to some extent, yeah, fairly significantly. It's not going to be the equivalent of, like 4 to 6 IUs of pharma grade GH, but it certainly can push your IGF-1 to high normal, and in conjunction with peptides like CJC 1295 with DAC, you can really get your IGF-1 pretty high. I don't really know what the goal of using the MK is. Like, this guy's obviously trying to stay lean all the time. At least from what I've seen, his physique doesn't, like substantially go up and down. It kind of is like constantly striking distance of, I don't know, like fitness photo shoot body territory. Not like stage ready, but he's like always like fitness model ready almost. So I don't know what the point of throwing a ghrelin receptor agonist in there is, unless he's, that I guess that can help, fill you out, give you some joint lubrication from the influx that you get with like the intramuscular water retention and whatnot. And, I don't know. I don't know what the goal of the compound is, so I'm kind of lost on that one. Using 2 different esters, I'm going to assume that there's a blend in the test prop and masteron. I don't know why else you would use 2 different esters of test. Like, to me, it doesn't make any sense why you would want to have test prop in there and pin it every other day or every day at 350 milligrams a week if you already have test sip in there that you've accepted you only need to pin, like twice a week to maintain like relatively stable blood serum concentrations. Like, if I was using test sip, why the fuck would I want to pin daily with test prop too on top of it? If I wanted to get some like acute benefit pre-workout with a short acting test, I would use some suspension or something. I wouldn't use prop. So I'm going to assume the prop is a blend with the masteron, and that would account for this weird dosage amount with the masteron being at 490. As far as the Arimidex, I don't really know if he needs that, to be honest. Like, I guess with the MK you can get a bit of, I don't know. Like, MK, a lot of people don't realize can actually heavily exacerbate gynecomastia risk. And then on top of that, I don't know if this guy has pre-existing gyno or not, and maybe he's just scared of making that worse. But in general, for somebody on 550 milligrams of test per week, like if that was all he was on, I might say, okay, if you're gonna run that much test and you're on MK and you have a pre-existing lump that you don't want to make worse, you might be forced to use an AI to keep it at bay. But for somebody on almost 500 milligrams of masteron, like, you're getting so much antagonism of estrogen-induced RNA transcription at the receptor site. I don't really know that there's a point of inhibiting aromatase as well on top of that. Like, you're literally using 500 milligrams almost of something that was used to treat breast cancer patients and is really androgenic and is very effective at preventing estrogen from inducing its action in tissues after binding the receptor. Like, it's pretty much, I actually just did a video on this about how do DHC derivatives act as anti-estrogens or not. And frankly, for most people, using a nearly identical dose of tested masteron, like, the AI is probably just cardio and neurotoxic on top of what you're using. Like, I don't really see a point. You'd be inhibiting your progress, if anything, not to mention obviously the progress from the GH-IGF-1 axis standpoint, cascade of growth factor production, all these things downstream that are going to inhibit growth by inhibiting aromatase indiscriminately. But on top of that, the heart, the brain, everywhere else that relies on having sufficient amounts of aromatization present, using 1 milligram of Arimidex every other day, like, that's a fucking hefty amount of Arimidex. That's like a drying out for the stage dose of Arimidex almost. So I don't really know. Like, to me, that seems like overkill if you're already using 500 milligrams of masteron. So to me, the AI dosage is excessive. I like the stack otherwise. Depending on the goal, I guess, it's kind of vague what he's doing here. But man, that fucking mop on his head that he can keep on that much masteron, like, good for him. Lucky guy. I fucking wish I could run masteron and keep my hair like that. Like, that's insane. So lucky for him with those genetics. Cause yeah, like, that's fucking rare that anyone can run Like, I'm pretty sure I've seen his cycles before, and he's, it seems like his go-to is kind of like a test master on stack, which frankly is a very good stack. Unfortunately, it just shreds the hair of almost every single person who uses it, except him apparently. So good for him. If I could run master on that often, fuck, I'd use it for sure. It's a great drug. So that's my stance on his protocol. Like, the guy obviously looks good all the time. I don't know what the goal of the cycle is, if it's growth or it's just kind of like getting a bit of a fuller, drier look for summer, or what the deal is. But yeah, that's my thoughts on his cycle. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think of the protocol? What would you change if it were you? Let's just say hypothetically he is trying to gain muscle right now. I can only presume is the case if he has the MK in there, trying to eat more. And he's on this much gear. I wouldn't be really using this much gear when I'm already this lean, unless I was trying to push into a surplus a bit and try and gain some muscle. So let's just assume that that's what he's doing. And what would you do? What would you change specifically? And why? I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Helps the algorithm. And obviously the open dialogue is appreciated by anyone in the community who wants to learn more. And, I'm sure there's lots of young kids who follow this guy's content that or may otherwise be in the comment section. There's probably a good opportunity to do some education from some of the vets that I know follow my stuff. So definitely any useful information that you guys can drop down there, it's much appreciated by the community and as well as me for satisfying the YouTube algorithm. And so like, subscribe, follow me on social media at @moreplates_more_dates, Facebook. No, that's my fucking Instagram, my bad. At @moreplates_more_dates, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, BitChute, Apple Podcasts, TikTok. I don't know where the fuck I am, to be honest. Just go in the description. Those are all. If you're on any of those, check them out, because I'm on them. Because I'm on a lot of shit now. So it's the same content pretty much everywhere, though, just so you know. If you want to support the channel, anything in the video, if you want, fuck, I can't talk today. If you want to support the channel, anything I am associated with is in the video description below as well. My TRT clinic, if you are seeking hormone optimization in any capacity, I recommend you reach out to them. Our patient care coordinators are very well qualified to go over your blood work A to Z and address any kind of imbalances or deficiencies you may have, and get you set up with our doctors over telemedicine. It's all super convenient from the comfort of your own home. FaceTime, Zoom, Skype, any of those options work for your appointment, and then from there you can get your protocol designed and get your medications shipped right to your door, and you can save $50 off your first order with the coupon code MPMD50. If you want to support Gorilla Mind, my nootropic and pre-workout company, I don't even know why I call it a nootropic and pre-workout company. We have tons of other stuff coming out, but that's just basically what it is right now. It's my nootropic formulas I developed for cognitive enhancement. This is what I use to push through my 14 to 16 hour work days with relative ease and maintain high quality work and focused and productive work during that time without straying too far off task, maintaining high levels of creativity. I feel like it's a lot easier with them as well. And they are the best nootropic formulas on the market, bar none for that. As far as the pre-workouts, obviously self-explanatory what those are. I encourage you to literally stand up right now, go to your cupboard, pull the pre-workout out that you currently use, look at the label, and then look at the label on Gorilla Mode as well as Gorilla Mode Nitric, and see for yourself why I recommend you switch. I don't even think I need to explain it further, to be honest. So thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.